So,
welcome to episode 2 of Bubbles and Besties. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode. My name is Phyllis and we have Crystal. Just a recap of who we are. So my name is Phyllis Johnson. I am the owner of PKJ Consulting. I have an amazing 12-year-old daughter, and Crystal and I decided to do something for our friendship of 28 plus years. So Crystal, why don't you tell us who you are and a little bit about today's episode and maybe a recap of the last episode for those who missed it. And what's in your cup?
geez, that's 8 years. So I am Crystal Hill, and I've got the 2 boys, 13 and 11. That's an adventure all in itself. But yeah, so today I decided to try, since I am in the Bay Area, go with the Bay Area's own Earl Simmons, i.e. E40, and his cotton candy sparkling. Let's do it for the Bay. And one, we want to thank everyone who listened last week and who watched after the fact. We've received a lot of feedback and a lot more discussion than I think we anticipated off of our first episode. So we want to give a huge shout out in this process. Last week we touched on our basic friendship. We got to the decision of doing this web series, and really just the essence that is Phyllis and Crystal in a nutshell. So this week we want to touch on friendship through the years, how it changes from middle school, high school, college, to when you start your career, families, and so forth. We do have a small little special guest today because, I am at home. So, of course, I must bring in, we can say my original best friend, although I'm not 100% sure that's accurate. Let's say my best friend from birth to 10. Let's go there. So we have my sister here, Lathina. Hello, everybody. For some reason, this is how this is totally unscripted. I wasn't prepared for that at all. But
Okay, well, welcome, Tina.
A shout out to Mac Mimi because she's watching.
We're going to talk about Mac Mimi in a second.
We have no words for Mac Mimi right now.
So, Miss Lathina, ex-Tina, as I like to call her. So as you know, we're talking about best friends. So tell us what you think your opinion is of best friends and how do they maintain their friendships over the years? And get into the camera. There you go.
Let me get closer. Well, I think that what keeps best friends alive and well is accepting your friend for who and what they are. With all the craziness, with all the hobbies, with all the men or women, whatever, close your boat, bot, whatever, non-bot, whatever. But, I think it's just really accepting each other for who they are. That's very important. Huh? Yeah, good, bad, and my friend is here now.
Hey, this is
she's not ready to be on camera, but the good, bad, and indifferent. And being able to, even when you guys separate for time, if it's because of marriage or divorce or kids or whatever, you guys can still get back together and hang out like you haven't even missed a beat. So that's important. Thank you. Baby, we appreciate you being our first guest.
Yes. Thank you.
Worry, I'll be back, ladies.
Oh my God.
And gentlemen. There may be gentlemen that watch. Oh, and gentlemen, hello. I eat my cleavage top. But anyway, go ahead. I was pulling the Phyllis. Okay.
Fully clothed, covered,
which is weird for you, but anyway. Okay.
Bye, Tina. It was nice seeing you. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for
this
joining.
This is a family show. Okay.
Yes. Oh, my bad.
I'm lying, but
So, fun topic. But I think that is very useful, and it plays into what we're going to talk about this week, with how things have changed and our friendship and whatnot. So I think we're going to kick it.
So we were, so in the last episode, we kind of did a recap of who we were, and we started talking, just doing this has opened up a lot of topic of conversation between she and I on so many things. And we've had a lot of friends who watch the first episode and reach out to us, which has been really nice. And we started talking about like, what are friendships like throughout the years, So Crystal and I met when we were 12 years old. And so when we were teenagers, we were friends, but we weren't best friends. So I had my own best friend who right now, we don't talk about her later. She's probably watching right now, but you know who you are. And, and Crystal had her own best friend. But we still knew each other because in essence, Crystal and I were in a lot of the same classes. We were a lot of the same activities. So we were really close friends, but I wouldn't consider us to be best friends. But then one thing that really brought us together is in 11th grade, we both took this college accounting course together, totally nerdy. And we started realizing that we had the same interests. And so also she was the one with the car and I didn't have a car. So her and my other friend, Jamila, so you got to do what you got to do. But and so we would hang out a lot of times, go to lunch, do the fun stuff that teenagers do. And I think the thing that kept our friendship growing was that we were in so many classes together. So when you're that young, we saw each other every single day, Monday through Friday, and then every once in a while, Saturdays and occasionally a Sunday here and there. So it wasn't required for us to talk on the phone or to, page each other, because that was back in pagers. I was saying, hit me on my hip, way back before anyone in their 20s probably don't even know what that is. But yeah, so I don't think we really spent a lot of time after hours talking. It was, we saw each other 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 classes a day, to the point where we would just be chit-chatting all day. And so then we both went to school in Southern California. She went to Cal State Long Beach. I went to Pepperdine. And that's when, in essence, we really started to bond, a lot closer. What would you say about that, Crystal?
I think one thing that was missed was our friend group in high school. So anyone that knows us may or may not have known that our little friend group was called the Royal Family. And because of that close group of friends, we were all into different things. There were some of us who were in student government. There were people that were in sports. Some were cheerleaders. Some of us were in dance. Some of you people were in the Future Teachers Academy.
Don't hate on that, okay? The kids need a future. Yes, I am a proud member. I was a proud member of the Future Teachers Academy until I realized how much they got paid. So that is something that I do want to do later on in life. But yes, I was FTA.
But having that group of friends who were in so many different things, I think a lot of that's a very unique high school experience, because I know I hear other people's high school experiences and it's either really good or really bad. And I don't think I ever had a bad experience, but I also didn't realize that people knew me way more than I knew them, just because of my friend group, I believe, whoever you hung out with. So I think that group helped us get closer as well. But I do agree, going off to college, we were 2 of 3 of our little group that went to Southern California. And from Northern California in Southern California, trust and believe stuck out like a sore thumb. I would always be told, "You're not from here, are you?" No, I'm not at all. So I think having that experience helped us get closer together, because we were, little fish in a big pond, and just trying to fit in. We were turning 18 and trying to figure out life in general. So I think college was definitely where the bond became even stronger, because we really just had each other. Our families weren't there. We didn't have our parents and older sibling looking over our shoulder in what we were doing. And we were just kind of able to experience life. And I think that was the fun times.
Yeah.
I'll leave that.
And I agree. So she lived in Long Beach. I lived in Malibu, and I definitely stuck out like a sore thumb at Malibu. But so, every weekend, honestly, every weekend she would either, at first she was driving all the way up to Malibu. Thank you, Crystal. And she would literally spend the whole weekend at my dorm. I remember my first roommate, she was a super cool junior, and she never was there on the weekend. So she would let Crystal stay in her bed. I mean, it was just those situations. And then, once, I got a car, we would meet up in the middle, and every weekend we'd be in LA, going to clubs, partying, walking across the border to Tijuana when you can do so. Shout out to those people who are from San Diego who know about walking across the border without a passport and everything else.
Oh, those were good.
Stumbling across, so I think that we had a routine of our friendship every weekend. Even though she was focused on education, we were both focusing on education. I don't know so much that we would talk every single day. I think we started then like talking on the phone because we were in school, but every weekend we would see each other. So it's like we started establishing a routine, and then we graduated and both started our careers in accounting. And as we started doing that, our lives were still exactly the same. So we're still college, still graduating around the same time, still doing the same type of job at the same time. We're still living in Southern California at the same time. And then, we're starting to hit our late 20s, and things are definitely similar. Wouldn't you say? Still the same thing?
Oh, definitely. So I would say after our early 20s and figuring out, how to start a career in essence, and us both moved to Las Vegas, we went through, of course, anyone who has moved to Las Vegas in their 20s, you go through those times of going out a lot, probably more than you should have. That's neither here nor there. But going through those fun times, and again, experiences now, we're over 21. So it moves from just going out and whatever to now we're able to legally drink and, experience different things, especially living in Vegas. And even when we were going to Hollywood, just different things that other people may not have experienced. And then I think once we got to our mid 20s and started to think about the future and settling down and us getting married and then having kids, all of that happened pretty, I'm gonna say simultaneously, but it was pretty simultaneously. It was within a few months of each other. And although it wasn't planned, it always made it easier that you had someone right there with you that was going through at least the same steps in life. It may not have been the same outcome or the same, exact situation, but it was still the same steps. So if we had questions about, we're young and being new wives, how do we do this? We're young and being new parents. How do we do this? How do we get this baby to be quiet?
How do I keep my baby alive? Like, look.
Yes, the real baby, not just the baby.
I will never forget, so Crystal and I used to go to lunch when we were both living in Vegas in our 20s, go to lunch every Wednesday. So that was our thing to keep us together. And we all talked on Messenger all day and emails. But I remember going to lunch. We went to this place called Sammy's Wood Fire Grill. That's how much I remember it. And yes, I remember the exact day. And I was like, Crystal, I'm pregnant. She busts out. First, she looked in shock, and then she bust out laughing to the point where she was in tears. So that was her response, because anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a kid person, but I knew that I wanted one or twins, and I was going to be done. I didn't really want to look back and be like, woulda, coulda, shoulda. So yeah, she was scared, and she was scared that I was going to keep my daughter alive.
Yeah, very much so.
But check out my last Facebook post. My baby's a genius, so I've done pretty well. Look, so she is a genius.
She is very intelligent. I will say that.
Genius.
Okay. Moving on.
So 30s, now the ages throughout the years, and so this is where I think a lot of people can definitely agree. As I was saying earlier, when you have your lives are very similar, it's really easy to maintain friendships. And so recently, someone who, Crystal and I both know, she and I had this conversation about, Crystal and I started going through lists of people who we would think would be great for this podcast, web series, whatever you want to call it. And we started going through our list of friends, and we've had a lot of high school people, interesting enough, reach out to us, and people that we've known in our 20s and even early 30s. And so someone reached out, and I spoke with that person about a friendship that we knew had broken down. And it broke down in their 30s, and so, and I know some friends personally where they were friends in their 20s and their friendship broke down in their 30s. And I think, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, where when your lives are exactly the same, it's really easy to be friends. It's really easy to get along. It's really easy to find similarities. But for most of us, when we're in our 30s, that's when real life is starting to happen. That's when, your careers are a little bit different. Crystal and I are both accountants, but she is a Capricorn, so she is a little bit more structured. Whereas I was like, hey, I just quit my job and I'm about to start PKJ Consulting, and I don't even know how to do this, but I'm gonna figure it out, and I don't have any money, and I'm just gonna make it happen. So, and Crystal believed in me and always had my back, and I love her for that, because she always supported me. But it's not something that she would ever do.
And just to interject, and a lot of people ask, well, how come you guys don't work together? That is the reason. I like to have a structure. I like to, shut down at a certain time, wake up at a certain time. I don't particularly like to be on my phone working all hours of the night, always having to take a computer, not always, but a lot of times taking a computer with you on vacation. Like, I like to completely shut down. So where I know that's not always an option for fellows. So those are things in just our personal psyches that I appreciate her. I admire everything that she does. I support her in everything that she does, but that's just not something I could do.
Right. And there have been times where I'm like, I could just go back and get me a nice little quiet W-2 job and just chill, and, but then I feel like I would die. So, and I love what I do. And I mean, and because of that, I travel a lot. I travel a lot. And so, certain things like that have changed. And I think also, and so you start going different career paths in your 30s, and then you start entering in relationships. And a lot of times when you're in relationships, that person should be the person that you start having conversations with, getting closer to. And so Crystal actually moved back to the Bay Area right when she was around 30. And so we were able to maintain our friendship, which is a beautiful thing. Most people aren't able to, because they start leaning towards their spouse or significant other. They start raising their kids. Maybe, somebody has kids, maybe somebody doesn't. Maybe someone doesn't agree with someone's career. Even earlier, she and I were talking about, we're both accountants, and we're lucky that we are different in our thought process, because what do you do if you have a friend that's so much like you? And what if we're both in the same mindset of what our career was, and she wanted to start a company and she didn't and wasn't that successful, or even vice versa? What does that look like if you don't have a friend who is celebrating you and not jealous of you? Because I'm sure we all have friends. I had one when I started my company who we were not friends anymore because and Crystal's drinking on that because she knows what I'm talking about, where, and those things happen, and so she moved to the Bay Area, and I don't know if our friendship strained, but, I'm be transparent, recently, I'm shouting her out. She did share something with me that happened while she was out there. And I wonder, if she was here, would I have already known that? And so, it's like one of those things where you have different relationships. So she started reconnecting, with a high school friend of ours, whereas I started making new friends. And we were chit-chatting about that the other day. It's like, we never talked about, well, how do you feel about the fact that I made new friends that, some of them I'm really close to, and how do I feel about you, and we never had those conversations until recently, which is nice. Tina, we should tag Tina in this.
What?
I am about to tag Tina. Yes, Tina. Yes,
Tina.
Tina.
You got a question for me?
You gonna put the camera on her, or I just see.
Oh, my bad.
I just want to say hi.
Okay.
Okay.
I was like, what?
Would she like me to tag her in the,
Would you like to be tagged in the video? And then what?
Yes. Next time when we have the sisters episode, that's a whole other conversation. But And so, I know a lot of friendships who have broken down in the 30s. And luckily, Crystal and I have been able to maintain our friendship because she's like a sister to me. Like we chit chat all day, and she's a sister to me. So she moved back when she was in her mid 30s. And what we realized
29.
We moved back.
Move back to yes. Okay. Got a lot going on this side. Okay. I got somebody who wants to show off their boobs every 5 seconds. Okay?
Hey, that'll look, go for it. Knock yourself out. Hey, we'll just put a little X or something on it, whatever. Lord Jesus. They don't want to see your boobs, they want to see the other side of you. That's what you're known for. So stick with your
okay.
I'm just saying. I'm sorry, there's a baby in the background. And so when Crystal moved back, we realized we didn't really establish a thing that would bring us together. We realized for the last probably 2 or 3 years, we still been spending time together, but we still were just talking on chat all day or talking on the phone for hours and hours and hours on end. And when we would hang out, it's always with a group of people or with our kids. It was never hey, let's go set this back to Wednesday going to lunch every week thing. And then for me, myself, I started traveling. So I never really, Vegas is my zip code, is where I store my stuff, but I got a suitcase packed right there. I can hop on a plane tomorrow. So, so I think that's, started, I don't even think we realized it was a strain on our friendship until this past, in October, where we stopped talking over really miscommunication. And I think it was oh, why has it gotten like this? We've known each other for. And so this is part of the reason why we started doing this is we need to find something now that, we maybe can't go to lunch every single week. I don't even know if I'm in town. I own my company. She has 2 kids. So our schedules don't allow for that anymore. But doing something like this allows us to keep our friendship going. So what do you think about that? And then also some stuff that we talked about as far as the shows that we like to watch.
Yes. So I agree. I think we got into the routine of always being on a messenger app or texting or something like that, to where when I moved back, that was just what we used to. And we never established a new normal. And our new normal became happy hours with our Vegas group of friends, or as I was getting reacclimated back to Vegas, hanging out with your group of friends. And I know some of them were we can't get too close to Crystal because she's the golden friend or something. I don't know. It was something that it was just made. I think sometimes our friendship was misunderstood, that although we take each other's sides and we back each other and we understand each other and we're always there for each other, we're supportive and all of that, I don't think people always saw, or they didn't see the behind the scenes things of, you cussing me out a few dozen times, me cussing you out a few dozen times.
Times 5. She cusses me out way more than I cuss her out.
Probably. But at least I can own that.
And she's the only person, let me say this, she is the only person on the face of this planet who I allow, because she knows me well enough to, when she's doing it, it's coming from a place of love.
Definitely.
So I don't feel like I gotta, but yes, so.
It's never a bad thing. Whenever we have those behind the scenes conversations, it's really to help you grow. It's really to help me grow. It is. At the end of the day, it's all for the best. It's all for the betterment of ourselves. And I think as best friends, we always try to present each other in the most positive light, because we believe that we are a representation of each other. Again, when it comes down to it, who you have a relationship with, who you associate yourself with, all of that is a reflection of you. So you need to, make sure that although the persona is correct, although, I do believe my best friend is a one person.
I'm laughing because look, let me tell y'all what's in this cup, okay? It's a splash of champagne, but most of it's just lemon vodka. And so when she was saying that, and I'm only interrupted because it made me, she knows and this is why, and she's laughing because she knows what I'm going to say before I even say it. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why having a best friend is amazing, because I already know how to say it, but there was a situation where a woman like said something about like girls with glasses aren't innocent or whatever, and it was just a fun situation. So yeah, but
we're not going to talk about that.
No, we're definitely not going to talk about that situation. But that, I mean, that was leading into our conversation about the Giselle Robin of Real Housewives of Potomac thing that we were talking about.
Yes, Potomac. I mean, we've talked about two television friendships that I think not necessarily mirror us, but I think are a good representation of best friends for a long time and their dynamics. So first, as Phyllis mentioned, Robin and Giselle from the Real Housewives of Potomac. It's not Potomac, it's Potomac. But how a lot of times Robin is supportive of Giselle and you never see her checker in a nutshell. Because Giselle's not always right. A lot of times she is she's extremely shady. But some of her comments can be inappropriate. But you always just see Robin saying, that's my girl, I'm riding or dying for her. It is what it is. And so we talked about that relationship to where we think, just personally, as fans of the show, it would be nice to see some of those, because I mean, they're getting taped all the time. So you would think that there's some footage somewhere of her saying, you're doing a little too much. Maybe you need to pull back on this. Maybe you shouldn't have said that. Things of those natures. The other show, which, a lot of, I think, people I know and we know watch, is Insecure. So where the friendship with Molly and Issa, you see them, I'm assuming they met in college or soon after college, but how their friendship over the past 5 seasons of the show has changed. And today we were discussing how our opinion may not be the most popular opinion, but surprisingly, we have the same opinion on who changed in that friendship and why and how it could have affected their breakdown. And I know this season they show, the aftermath of how do we get back to our normal? And then 1 year later, everything is fine. So personally, because we were going through our issues, I was like, I wish they would have shown the work that went in to that 1 year later, because it is work with every relationship. Like, not to say like we're marriage, but it's like a marriage. You can't be married to someone forever and never have those hard conversations and never, you're gonna go through times where you don't like that person some days, some hours. It has never really been a day. It's been trick that bitch. Oh, sorry. But well, here's a question.
This is welcome to Oakland Crystal, everybody. Okay, she is no longer in Las Vegas. She's in Oakland, California, so it's all out the window. Just sorry, my nice, innocent Facebook people. Yeah, boobs and cussing.
All to say. Book on it. To upgrade her life and find a better job. And mom has stayed the same, and that has caused the issue that she wanted her friend to always stay the same. And it kind of felt like, how dare you try to better yourself, or how dare you try to move up, but you don't need my help. You're mad, you don't want my help, but I don't really want to give you help, but how dare you not want my help? Type, like, how are you gonna? So it's a very interesting dynamic to watch. But yeah, so I'm sorry, we have a question in the room.
Yeah. I'm gonna tag you, Tina. Hold on. Let me just give me a second, Tina.
She's made enough appearances. It's time
with with guests. Go ahead. We're listening. I can multitask. What's your question?
When your friend, doesn't matter if your friend is a different sex than you, does gender matter? No, like, for instance, I have a really good friend, and so I've had to go through, like, you're dating this woman, I don't like her. You dating this woman, she's okay. Like does gender matter? Or
yes.
So there you go. That's my question.
I would say yes, it does, because, and that is a great topic. So we look forward to having you and your best friend. I'm gonna guess who it is, but I ain't gonna say no names if it's not that person. Does it start with a K? Does it start with a K?
No.
K?
Who's your best friend?
Come on, Kenny.
Look at that. I'm so smart. let me tell you, I know Kenny. Thank you, Kenny. Shout out to Kenny for, anyway. Is that not your best friend? Who's your guy best friend? Who is he?
We can discuss that later.
We'll discuss at a different time.
Okay, anyway, so the answer to that question, I would say yes, because Crystal has a guy best friend or a guy super close friend. I definitely have a guy best friend. And I think that over the years, it's like sometimes you have to decide how to navigate that when you're in relationships, because sometimes when you have a best friend of the opposite sex, of course, people you're in a relationship with, they're like, is that really your friend? Da, 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 da. But
like, what did y'all do in the past? What are y'all doing now? What y'all gonna do in the future?
Right. But me personally, I know, my guy best friend, like, he knows me. He's known me since I was in my early 20s. And I'm able to call him and bounce ideas off of him, where I love Crystal, but she's not a man. And so it's nice to have someone of the opposite sex who's going to be super bluntly honest, who really knows you, who's going to give you advice from a male point of view. But it does make it difficult when you're in a relationship, because of course people feel a certain kind of way. So, that would be a great topic, Tina. We are looking forward to episode 8, where you and your best friend will be on there, and we're going to talk about that. Like, how does that affect your relationships and, all that great stuff. Thank you, Tina. Episode 8.
We have another question from the audience. Miss Vanessa Morgan.
Hi,
Vanessa. Does race matter in friendships?
So we have talked about this. Okay. Yes, as a possible
great question.
As a possible topic.
Great question, Vanessa.
Thanks, our social media person. We're coming up in the world super fast here. But that is a topic that we have discussed, because again, we looked at, does race matter? In the African American community, sometimes your skin tone will matter between the light brights and the not so light brights.
Not so light brights. First of all, can you say
the beautiful brown skin?
The beautiful, beautiful ebony goddesses, not so light skin. See,
I did that because I knew you would react. Light skin. Yes, I said it because I knew that would make you react.
I not trained you to be better than this. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just felt like triggered. It's been a long week, so I'll trigger and a little laugh from myself. That's all. But but we have discussed that. So I don't know, because that. I can say a conversation we did have a couple days ago was, as far as the light skin, medium skin, dark skin thing within the African American community is, are things said to one friend about the other friend that is shielded because of skin friends or whatever within the community. So that is something that we've talked about. And to answer specifically about the race thing, we don't know.
I think so.
I would assume so.
Because, ultimately, when you're young, people don't see color. You see color, but you don't. It's like when kids are kids, it's like you have friends of all different everything. And it takes your parents really to nurture, to make sure that you are raised to love everybody. But then sometimes society will make things different. I know personally, when me, Crystal, and a friend of ours who's Puerto Rican and Colombian, we went to Atlanta, and it was very interesting. It was very like, why are, people are hang out with certain skin tones and they all look alike? It's just very different. So I think that race matters. And I don't think it's so much black and white. It could be black, Asian, it could be Asian, Hispanic. It could be so many different things. And for Miss Vanessa, who is she's beautiful, Hispanic and white. What is she? You know what I'm saying? But she's black and white. But it's like, having conversations, especially in the last 2 years, where there's so many things that have happened for the Black community, even if you're not Black, having those conversations based on your relationships with African-American people is a really tough topic. And even in the African-American community, we all don't think alike. So you could talk to 10 Black people and we all may have different opinions. And so,
sorry, all of our phones are going off for a child abduction alert in Lake Tahoe. So
If anybody has seen this child in Lake Tahoe, go ahead and read the adoption alert.
I know, read the alert, check the alert. Sorry.
I didn't get no alert, and I live in Nevada. But anyway,
it's South Lake Tahoe.
So I think all these things matter, and this is some of the stuff that we decide that we do want to explore. You know, like we talked about, we had a guest person today that just was, you know, thank you, Tina. Wave to the people, Tina. But I love Tina.
Yes. Oh, God.
Girl, put the boobs. This is a Christian show or something like that. It's not, but.
I'm sorry.
Lost my whole train of thought. But anyway, so you know, a lot of these topics we have talked about, and these are topics that we want to explore because this has been something for us. It's made our friendship a lot closer, and because we're having top conversations that even though we've known each other for years, we are still learning stuff about each other, which is crazy. Like even last week on the episode, someone was commenting and she was like, well, who is such and such? And I'm like, oh, that's this person. She's like, I didn't know that. And it's like, huh. We have friends who, you know, to talk about the skin tone thing, you know, obviously I'm a beautiful ebony goddess and Crystal is, you know, can you even see her? But, you know, our friendship, but, you know, even like stuff like that is like what's interesting, you know, interesting fact about us is both of our mothers, you know, my mother's passed, but her mother is right there.
Yes, my mom is.
But they're both fair skinned. And, you know, our fathers were dark skinned. And so, you know, if you look at Crystal, and that's a whole other topic. So Crystal and her sister are two different skin tones.
But still beautiful.
The beautifulest one is the yellow. And, you know, and but me and my sister are like the same, you know, same funny brown skin girl. So it's like, you know, how does that affect friendships? Do you have to look alike to be best friends? And, you know, how do you navigate that? Are you able to have conversations where it's not offensive to the other person? And I personally, I mean, Crystal's ever said anything, I call her my little banana, my little yellow, my little Tweety bird, you know, whatever. But
yes, she does call me her little cheetah banana. Yes.
Cute. But
Tina asked.
But, you know, so I think these are all topics that we, you know, really want to discuss. And to keep in time, so I know we're going over, which is actually a good thing. So in keeping with that, we did talk about, you know, what are our next episodes going to be? So we did, and I am now this is the shady moment of the night. So we did want to bring the next person to be on. I won't say her name, but she told us no, which as an Aries, it sounds like you're cussing to me when you say no to me. But her initials are J.L. changed to J.C because she's now legally married, and her Facebook and Instagram is @M and it ends with Mimi. So if you know who that person is, she told us no, she don't want to be on our thing, even though she's been our friend since we were 12. She told us no, she don't like to be on camera. So if y'all can go, I lost my earring. So if y'all can just, if you know who that person, if you know who that person, I know, right? You know, it's about to be a girl fight. If you know who that person is, feel free to go into her DMs and tell her that she's a beautiful goddess so that she will feel comfortable coming onto our episode. However, we did have a lot of great feedback for a lot of people who want to join. So on our very next episode, we are going to have Miss Rachel Harmon, who I'm sure most of y'all know. If you guys are friends with me and Crystal, you definitely know Rachel. She went to high school with us. She went to middle school with us. Jesus Christ. Shout out to Montera. She went to middle school with us. And then when I moved to Vegas, she was living here. If anyone visits Vegas, you guys know Rachel is the ambassador of Skyline High School, of people coming to Vegas. So we're going to have her on, and hopefully with her best friend, Sasha. We do know it's a 3-hour, you know, head time. Sasha is a beautiful mother, married to be, and a boss, a lawyer in Washington, D.C. So she can join. We're going to definitely have her on, but we're going to have Rachel on here just to talk about, something that she and Crystal and I talked about is when we weren't apart anymore, we started building other relationships. So Sasha and Rachel live in, way across country. So how they maintain their friendships over the year, because they've known each other as long as we've known each other. And, they're two very different people in my point of view and Crystal's point of view, but maybe they're more alike than we even realize. So, discussing that and then talking about our friendship, as you probably seen from our Facebook post, every month, Crystal, Rachel, and I, we started going out every month because for us all personally, we realized that during COVID and pandemic and stuff like that, we wanted to have something where we can get out the house. So it's something that we do every single week. And so maybe
every month, not every week.
Every month, not every week, not time. But maybe we haven't really fleshed out all the details, but there could be a possibility that the three of us will be live somewhere. We will figure out the logistics of that. Possibly, yes. I'm just putting this on Crystal because it was something I was thinking about. So this is what I do. But that would be awesome. So we look forward to having Rachel on here next week. Crystal, do you have any closing thoughts, comments?
Again, I want to thank everyone for their comments, their engagement, some shady comments, some loving comments.
Did she comment?
No, I'm saying from you, ma'am. But I do, before we close this out, I do want to say, if there is a question that we didn't answer fully, if you have a strong opinion about, one of the questions that was asked, or, my sister's boobs, I don't know, just let us know. And, if you want to participate in a future episode about that topic, because trust and believe, we have a list of topics that is just continuing to grow. Basically, with every conversation we have about this, it adds about 5 or 10 more topics that we want to go down. So again, if anyone does want to join, if you have a strong opinion, we are open to everyone. Although I love talking to Phyllis, I know everyone else may not want to listen to just us all the time. It's the truth. Another voice is always appreciated.
Thanks, Giselle. Jesus.
People make it sick of just us. Although I think we're entertaining, some people think we're entertaining. Having that extra voice and extra opinion, that really does matter. So thank you to everyone who's agreed so far. Thank you for the statement that I received for whenever we do talk about that person that was mentioned before. Yeah, so I just wanted to end on the thank yous.
Okay. Well, we are going to close out episode 2 of Bubbles and Besties. We definitely thank you guys for joining, because this is just, like I said, it's something for us that we are really actually enjoying. And it's opening up conversations that we have not had, and it's building friendships, and it's actually rebuilding friendships with other people who have been reaching out to us that we don't talk to that often. So it's been a really, really fun journey, and we're only on episode 1 and 2. So we're excited. So thank you and good night.
Good night. I'm like, maybe it's not good night.
I was trying to stop.